Do you ever have a certain movie or video game you wish you could experience blind all over again? What a weekend post February 11th and 12th had to offer. Bowser's Fury, which, as a forever Mario fan, I can always appreciate. Willy's Wonderland, which was a hilarious horror spoof and a unique gem in every way, 10 out of 10. And Little Nightmares 2, which I completed last and was, without a doubt, the highlight of the three for me, and because of it, I'm very glad it was a weekend finale for myself. Genuinely creepier than the first for sure. Teacher and the doctor both got my heart pounding and definitely gave Granny a run for her money. And those of you who are here for my theory, pretty much everybody, know well about the story. The story's ending was hard to accept at first, and was so very shocking. That being that, after finally saving Six in the signal tower and escaping the demonic mass of flesh that's chasing you, upon catching you, instead of pulling you up like always, she instead decides to drop you. And why? Well, the answer I'm going to offer to you is that, for one thing, no. Six did not use Mono the entire time. I thought that at first out of shock and my poor aching heart for my friend betraying me, but yeah, no. I highly doubt that. I think the answer lies not in that it was destiny, or Six somehow already sensed her hunger and was protecting Mono in a way, or even that the signal tower had complete influence over this action to make sure Mono became the Thin Man again, though it seems clear that it did somewhat. Why I think Six ultimately betrayed Mono is because of a simple inevitability, and this inevitability is that their personalities were so different that they were destined to conflict, and in this case, perhaps in the worst way possible. So, as we've come to know Six, she's very reserved and closed off, even at times rather demented in nature. She's had to watch her only friend die in an attempt to save her, and, like any child, has had to endure this ever-growing evil world, likely surviving far longer than most children, and thus being exposed to far more than any normal child should, or perhaps has, in-universe, as the official website sums up quite nicely. Having to experience death and desolation like it's an everyday thing, it would only be natural for her to learn from this cruel world and mirror its actions. The constant danger would naturally make her hesitant to trust another in the sense that she doesn't want to get too attached in case, well, yeah, happens again. And not to mention, the first time she sees another kid trying to survive after God only knows how long it's been since she's been at the nest and out surviving on her own, she gets kidnapped by being distracted. A glimmer of hope just to be taken away. Perhaps she also worries to trust another in case the other might cause her trouble like that one incident has caused her. She might even fear betrayal in this every child for themselves type of lifestyle. But I think that fear would be something that comes more to play in Little Nightmares rather than this game. And yes, Little Nightmares 2 is a prequel in timeline. But anyways, Six has every possible cause to be a bit on the dark side and borderline sociopathic. It's a given. The website might say that she isn't a normal child, and she certainly isn't in the grand scheme of things, but she certainly is the kind of child we'd expect to see coming from living through a not-so-normal world with constant nightmare after constant nightmare, and that is a traumatized and broken girl. As for Mono, I've watched some theory videos, and some or one had said Mono is named that as a reference to television. Monophonic audio in which all sounds are mixed together into a single channel. While I think that is one reason, it likely also has to do with his personality, and perhaps more so. On Little Nightmares 2's Twitter almost a year ago, they posted bios of the characters. For Mono's, he's described as a uncommonly single-minded child. When he sets himself to a task, he rarely gives up before it's completed. So Mono is likely also called that because of his often single-mindedness. Mono, single. He's the kind of kid who is determined and ambitious, a rarity certainly in this universe. Why he's so determined, perhaps I can only speculate, is because he feels the need to be a hero in a world where no one else will. After all, it would be the norm to lose hope, especially with the only normal ones left being kids. This could fuel a need in himself to not give up and to stay focused, or else he might ruin any chance of freeing the world. He rests a lot of responsibility onto his own shoulders. He's a glimmer of hope. A light that shines in this dull world, a world that hates him and wants him to fail. With that being said, Six and Mono's personalities, one fading away and one full of hope, were destined to conflict in some terrible way, if not in the way of how Little Nightmares 2 ends. Mono clearly has good intentions and cares about Six, going out of his way to rescue her multiple times, initially saving her because he was the reason she was caught in the first place, and felt it was his responsibility to rescue her. And Six comes to care about Mono too. We see this in various subtle body language throughout the game. But this journey is ultimately about his quest, and the quest taking center stage leads to some problems. There are often times in-game you'll find Six interested in other things, and you'll see she's in no real hurry to go forward. At the playground, Six plays with the ball, leans against the goal, sits on the bench. Many times if you're not moving, she'll go to sit down on the ground to take a break, only to get up as Mono insists on moving forward. In the hospital, quite a few moments here, you'll see that you need a key from one of the stuffed animals hinted at in this picture. If you turn the X-ray machine on, she'll go in to curiously see what she looks like. When you go to get one of the toys for the machine, instead of picking up another plush animal like the key would be, where the key would be in according to this picture, she picks up a duck. This doesn't seem to be out of any reason for their task, but rather because she wants to play. When you put the duck in the X-ray, there's something shining in it, which turns out to be nothing if you burn it, but I believe this was done on purpose to show Mono's over-focused nature, because it would make us curious to see what happens if it is burned, and would make us want Six to burn it. But it seems like Six is reluctant to do it at first. At least for me, for some reason, she hesitated during my first playthrough. But anyways, even if that isn't the case, instead of using the toys for play and bonding time, it's just another objective. There's also the portion where Six helps hoist us up into a room. When we return, she's not waiting for us there where we separated. Personally, it made me worry she was captured and the snapping noises were that of the doctor. But no, she's off messing around with some mannequin parts, entertaining herself like any child would do. Once again reminding us of her twisted nature by breaking the fingers of the mannequin. But it's still her entertaining herself nonetheless. I also thought Six resting by the flames of the dying doctor, though morbid, was an inviting moment to just slow down. Maybe rest here for a while. I took a breather for about 10 or 12 minutes during that time. But anyways, even though Six sitting by the flames of the doctor with no remorse was a bit off-putting, it wouldn't be too surprising if Mono decided to sit next to her and join her. As death is such a common occurrence in their world, it probably wouldn't faze either of them, especially it being the death of a monstrous abomination like the doctor. If in any place, this is the place to rest. This place is safe. But you can't sit down next to Six, because Mono knows he needs to focus. He doesn't have time to wait, because if he waits, he might lose out on his one chance to save the world. Simple circumstances, a monster in the wrong place, the environment becoming impossible to traverse, might hinder his chances. And he doesn't want to take any risks at that. He simply needs to keep going. Mono and Six don't take any moments to slow down other than when they had to on the ride to the Pale City. They're constantly on the move, Mono being the leader. It's all been about the quest. Again, Mono has good intentions, but because of that, the two didn't bond as much as they could have. They never talked to each other than for directions to a specific task, never took the time to really get to know what the other likes, to play, to ignore the evil in this world for just one moment. And because of that, Mono never came to realize how much the music box meant to Six. Here in the signal tower, she's using the music box to comfort herself, much like what she did during the length of the time that she spent captured by the hunter. When you call to her, she hesitates, but eventually comes forward and shows it to us. She's come to care about us enough to where she wants to open up to us, sharing something deeply important to herself. And this is finally her moment to do so. Finally a moment where she and her only friend can just take a break from the nightmares, share heart to heart. A moment where she can finally and truly rest. But Mono knows this music box is the source of what's corrupting her, and just like always, he feels the need to be the hero. And after some effort against a dangerous and angry monstrous Six, he reverts her to her normal self. They escape the mass, and just when Mono was about to escape with his friend, he's dropped. Betrayal. Something he could have never anticipated. And unable to understand her, he has nothing to reflect upon during the years it takes for him to grow into the Thin Man, other than regret and hatred. All this effort to bring the world to light, only to succumb to the dullness that he had so desperately tried to shield himself from. Such a shame. And why? After all that time of pushing forward, her always being the one to hoist Mono up, or to save him from certain cliffside doom, Six must have thought Mono was using her as a means to an end, which, in a way, it seems like he sort of does. In the comics, Mono has been to the Pale City before, and perhaps retreated to the forest to escape all the madness, a place with far fewer televisions and less corruption. But now that he has a partner, maybe this has bolstered his confidence to try and save the world. Because at what moment do we see that Six is truly fading from the world and in need to go to the signal tower? As according to this description, Six is fading from the world, and her only hope is to guide Mono to the signal tower. Yet, we see no signs that she is in dire lively danger outside of times she is taken or nearly crushed by debris. I see no other way to interpret this fading from the world as her own mental state slowly but surely becoming one with the world that surrounds her. Also, side note, it's more so that Mono guides Six to the signal tower in this game, as he's clearly the leader, but maybe they meant guide in the sense that her deep brokenness has guided his attention to the signal tower and inspired him to try and destroy it. Or this is simply Mono's own built-in interpretation of this girl he hasn't gotten to know all too much as a means of justifying bringing her into this dangerous journey with him. Or maybe Six has been to the Pale City as well and perhaps knows her way around. Yeah, slippery words, loose interpretations, gotta love that stuff. Whatever it means, I don't think Mono would have gone on his quest without her. So, once again, she must have thought he was using her as a means to an end. This along with the fact that nearly every time Six was in danger, it was pretty much Mono's fault. From being kidnapped by the Hunter, to being humiliated by the bullies, being almost killed by debris, and kidnapped by the Thin Man. And after opening up to him and trying to bond, he once again is set off to a task. Much worse, this involving him breaking one of the most important, if not the most important thing to her. This music. Her song. Her only comfort. And now feeling betrayed, it confirms in her mind some deep-rooted, truly pessimistic thoughts that she can't put her trust in anyone, and only this object can be her one and only comfort, her only escape. The tower corrupting her mind, using the form of the music box to get Six to protect the source, only amplified her pre-existing negative feelings, and with that, and a cold stare Mono is oblivious to, she reverts to being closed off yet again. And as we saw with how she took out her revenge on one of the bullies by bashing its head in rather violently, Six isn't one to tolerate being pushed around, and so she left him behind, not wanting him to hold her back like he unintentionally had from the beginning. It truly is a sad and unfortunate tale looking at it from this way. Their outlooks on life simply destined this to happen. Six could have taught Mono to take a back seat sometimes, and Mono could have been a step forward into some kind of healing for Six, but it simply couldn't happen. Anyways, that's all I have to say on this topic. If you have any of your own ideas as to why Six was such a terrible person, let me know in the comments and maybe we can have a little discussion. And if the ending has you terribly upset, well, there is always fanfiction, right? Thank you for stopping by, and God bless.